This is The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. With your host, Tyson Gifford and William Roerick. Episode 147, recorded March 9th, 2018. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. I'm your host. My name is Tyson, and joining me today, as always, is my partner in crime here at TVE, and definitely not a robot, William Roerick.
Hello.
So today we are going to be talking about The Tick, hence the robot joke. We're also going to be talking about The Magician, Season 3, Episode 9, All That Josh. But before we get started on that, I just kind of wanted to break down our schedule for the next couple of weeks, just really quickly. So next week, we're going to be doing The Magicians as usual, but we're also going to be doing Jessica Jones. So we're going to be covering that. The week after that, the 22nd, this is all when we're recording, not when the episode's released, we're going to be taking the week off. And then on the 29th, we're going to be back and we're just going to be talking about The Magicians. We're going to be talking about the last two episodes of The Magicians Season 3. Then on April 5th, it's going to be our 150th episode. We're going to be joined by a special guest and we're going to be playing Advocates of Great Television. If you don't know, that's when we each pick a show to be an advocate for in a specific episode, and we all watch those episodes and then we get together and discuss them and get everybody a chance to, be an advocate for their show, talk it up, and then all of us discuss what we liked or didn't like about it. So that's going to be on the 5th of April. At least that's when we're planning to record it. We might shift it around somewhere in that vicinity. But that's just basically what's coming up in the next couple of weeks for this show. So I just wanted to give a heads up on that. But let's jump right in on The Tick, Season 1B. So this is the last 6 episodes of Season 1. Amazon did like a split release where they released the first half of the season and the second half, like almost 3/4 of a year later. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm not really a fan of this release schedule, Amazon.
Yeah. We've talked about this before, Will and I both.
This is this is 12 30-minute episodes of a series, and you split it up into 6 episodes each and release them so far apart from each other. Why? What was the point of that?
And also without a natural stopping point. If you leave a really interesting cliffhanger, then that gives you something to speculate. But it was just basically the middle of the season.
Yeah, it was just the middle season. It just ends, and then you wait a ridiculously long time. Forget that the show existed in the first place, and then there's the rest of the episodes.
Yeah. So that's that. I also have to go on to my usual rant. I'll keep it short though, with Amazon and their user interface and just the fact that it doesn't play on Chromecast, which meant that I had to open it up on a computer, try to tabcast it over. It had frequent, glitches and stalls because of that. It doesn't run the best way. It's a pain in the ass. Amazon, get your shit together. Enough is enough. Seriously, I know you're competing with Apple and Google and stuff for on these hardware devices, but it's more important that your content is on everything possible, just like it is with Netflix and Hulu and everybody else. All of your competitors in those fields are on everything, and you should be too. Enough is enough, Amazon.
Enough is enough. You want to be a player, you got to actually you got to step your game up.
Yes. And like I said, also the user interface. It's just a pain. I don't even look on Amazon. I just do a Google search for Amazon The Tick. And that's how I get into it. Cause it's the only way that makes sense. It's just not pulling nails. But that being said, we braved our Amazon issues to watch The Tick because we love The Tick, because it's a great show. It's really funny. And what did you think, just kind of on a base level of the second half of Season 1?
I enjoyed it. It's great. Yeah, I was really happy with it. Peter I can't pronounce his last name. Peter Surfakowitz.
Dude from Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
He's great as the Tick.
Still channeling Adam West.
Yep, still channeling Adam West. But he really develops his own identity as it goes on. So it stands out less as an Adam West impression, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
like you just forget about that. So that's good. Overkill, that's a great character. Love that guy. The Danger Boat, oh my god. The Danger Boat being homosexual and in love with Arthur was like the greatest thing.
That scene was hilarious, where like in the tight confined shower.
Yeah. Be careful,
and then later
Arthur.
on, the scene where he's calling on his comms.
Yes.
And he's like, I love you.
I love you. Yeah.
Arthur's just like so uncomfortable.
He's just so uncomfortable. He's so unnerved by it.
What do you think of the terror going in? Because like part of me thinks it's like, oh, it's almost like too cartoonish, like his portrayal of him. But part of me actually really likes that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like that, and yeah, I really like that.
Because he's super sinister, but he's also just like ridiculously cartoony. Haley Joel Osment, or not Haley Joel Osment, what am I talking about? Wrong person. God, I can't even think of his name either. The guy who does the terror is the guy who played Rorschach in Watchmen.
I know who you're talking about.
Why was I thinking Haley Joel Osment? I wasn't picturing that actor. I was just thinking that name. You know what I mean? But anyways, that's a strong performance too, but it's like a very weird performance. Like I said, it's a little off-putting for me at first, and then I start to get into it. I think that's kind of the Tick as a whole. Like it's a little off-putting, and then you have to kind of get into like the flow of the series. And that's part of why that season split was such a bad idea. Because you're completely taken out of that flow and you need to get back in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So like it wasn't really clicking for me again until I was on like episode 8 or 9 is when it started clicking again for me. Because I'd completely been taken out. It'd been too long. It wasn't like it was starting from like a new spot, like a new season would. It was just like jumping right back in, like it should have been the next week.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I'd say that's still the biggest kind of issue with the Tick. But I really enjoyed Midnight in this season, the talking dog, and his fight with Overwatch was hilarious.
Oh my god, yeah, that was so many good, funny moments in this. Like this really, I thought really delivered for me. Like,
the sexual tension between Overkill and Lint.
Oh, Lint, yes.
When she's like torturing him. Doc's like, you guys need help. Like not couples counseling, like separate individual help. They're just kind of grudgingly agreeing.
Right.
Actually quite liked Lint in this through the whole. I liked her in the first half as well. I liked
her in the first half. Yeah, she's great. I mean, that's what makes it so enjoyable is like the characters like are all great. Like I don't really have a complaint about the characters. They're all wonderfully played in their own ways. There's
a few cheap CG moments.
Yeah, there's a few cheap CG. Like it stands out, you can see, but it's forgivable because
the tone's kind of corny, so it kind of fits. It's not. It doesn't feel that off-putting.
Yeah, because of the tone, because of the fact it's a comedy and it takes like a cheesy tone. You can overlook it, right? Because it's not like some super serious. If this was like a Netflix Marvel show and it had that bad CG, like that would
Marvel's the Tick.
That would be like really cringeworthy. But here it works. And also I get like they're working with a budget, so like it can't be helped. But
yeah, I think it works fine. I think one thing that was a little jarring that maybe they should have reshot was that they showed a flashback to the first episode.
Yes.
And Tick's in a completely different costume.
Yes, because because they changed the costume from the pilot episode.
Yeah.
And so props for them like really like keeping it like it actually was. Because I think if they did shoot it with like a new costume, that would have like annoyed me a bit.
I don't think they could anyways, because they made a joke in I think like the second episode, not of this returning of the second half of the season, but literally episode 2 of the season. After the pilot, they had made a joke because he was in a different suit,
right?
About how he had changed his suit or something like that. So I think they kind of cemented themselves in there, but it was still a little bit jarring. Again, maybe more so because of a long wait.
The suit in the pilot was like really rough looking, and I wasn't like a fan of how the Tick looked in the pilot.
It was much more textured. It had this kind of like dotted texture, and it was like this pale baby blue.
Yeah, it was pale. It just looked weird. Yeah.
But I think maybe that the thing that makes it a little bit jarring on when they show that flashback here is also part of the split in the season, is that it's been a while since we saw the joke where they explain that away. And so it's like you kind of almost forget that. You almost forget that there was ever this original costume. And then it's like you see it again and it's kind of like, oh, whoa, what the, you know? And then you reminded, oh yeah, like he had this other costume in the pilot.
Yeah, exactly.
It made the scene a little bit jarring. But again, like I said, you could explain that right down to being a problem with the season split.
Jackie Earle Haley, that's the actor's name.
That's it. See, this is the Haley I was getting caught on.
Yeah, yep.
That's the actor who plays the Terror. That's what Will was mentioning to anybody wondering why he's just
again great. You know, it goes for like that corny, but it's not too corny.
It's this weird like impersonation of an old man.
Weird impersonation of like this unusually evil old man
who's just remarkably spry.
Yes.
playing drums at like ridiculous times, and
oh my god, that geez, I can't think of the parody though.
Oh, was it the movie with J.K. Simmons in it?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. The drummer movie where he plays like the harsh teacher.
Where he's the harsh teacher. the parody of like that, where he's screaming at him and he throws like the symbols at the Terror and stuff, and then the Terror just stops and says, "You're going too easy on me." He's like, if I'm not an expert drummer within our next 2 sessions, you know, I'm gonna execute you.
I think they did a good job also with Superior in the second half of the season. In the first half, he just kind of like, I just felt like he didn't really pop that much. But here he does, because they really play into the kind of like him being sick and not functioning as well. And that made him really funny.
Yeah, that made him really funny. Yeah.
And so the actor was kind of able to shine more in that part of the role. So I really enjoyed Superior in this half of the season. Yeah, I mean, everything on it was pretty good in the second half. I think Ramsey might have been kind of a bit of a weak point in the first half of the season.
I think so.
Starting with him gone just made it a little bit better.
Oh my god, yeah. Lint taking over the Ramsey's gang. Like
frying off the guy's like Egyptian tattoo.
Overall, yeah, good show. I enjoyed it. I hope there's a season 2. I really do.
And I hope they don't split it.
Yeah, I hope Amazon doesn't like shortchange it again. Like, that's just stupid. Don't do that, Amazon. Like, you want people to get invested in your platform, but you do stupid backward shit like that. I don't. And then you wonder why people are, you know, more interested in watching Netflix. That's because Netflix puts all the episodes up.
Amazon has some huge projects coming up. They've kind of cornered the market on like beloved fantasy series too, oddly enough. Not just, I mean, we talked about Lord of the Rings, of course, but like also like Wheel of Time and a bunch of other ones that are like really big fantasy series that they've bought the rights to.
They want that next Game of Thrones, and if Lord of the Rings doesn't do it, maybe Wheel of Times will be it. Maybe this. If you have a fantasy series, pitch it to Amazon right now. It seems like
right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
But since they're making these big gambles with that, I'm hoping that with that comes a drastic improvement to their interface, to the apps, like where their app is available, but also to just like the practices of their service and the way they release and the way they advertise their shows. You know, they just need to step up big time.
They really do. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the Tick. I mean, we're not going to go into great detail. It's not like a big plot heavy thing to talk about. So yeah, check it out on Amazon. Brave the horrific interface and enjoy just a very kind of corny,
very light,
fun,
very light, fluffy superhero comedy show. Like,
yeah, it's very much in the vein of Batman 66.
Yeah, very much in the vein, which with the particular style of humor that you come to expect from the Tick if you've been exposed to the character through any other media. It very much maintains that spirit and that humor. You know, it's not something completely different that's gonna be alien to you. So that's good. But
I say it's like Batman 66, and it is in many ways, but also has a bit of a wicked streak to it.
It has
a little dark humor streak to it that makes it
nice. It has dark humor that you wouldn't see. Like, again, it's inspired by Batman 66 in as much as like it's a parody of Batman 66.
Yeah,
definitely. It's really good. Check it out.
But, so that's the Tick. We're going to move on now to The Magicians, Season 3, Episode 9, All That Josh. Last week, we had a really cool concept episode where they broke down 6 separate perspectives, and they had that really cool, like, for the deaf woman,
now we're back
it was silent.
A regular episode. But it's fine, because this one is, like, I know, I'm sick of saying this every week, but this was a good episode, in my opinion.
Well, it wasn't really back to normal, though, because that's the thing, is they went from a high concept episode like that, and this episode is a musical episode.
It is. It is a little bit of a music episode.
It's not completely dominated by the music. It's not like nonstop musical numbers.
It's not a musical episode in the same vein like that, like Supergirl.
Once More Feeling, or
Once More Feeling, or like the recent Supergirl Flash crossover episode.
There's whole parts that aren't related at all, but there are like 2 or 3 musical moments in it, including a really good one at the end. It actually had like a lot of like emotional context.
The under pressure, that was like the best moment of the episode. That was.
It kind of makes me wish that they could have saved it for the season finale.
Right.
Because it ended on such this like jubilant tone that like I really felt like a really good closing, you know. And it can't really, because there's parts of the story it just wouldn't fit right with the story they're telling. It just wouldn't make sense. But yeah, I mean, it really, that was a really great moment at the end.
So the basic plot, I'm going to summarize the plot real quick, try to go through the plot real quick, and then try to break it down after. The basic plot of the episode is that the book gives them like a piece of music to perform on the piano. Alice recognizes it as music right away. And as soon as she plays the notes in the piano, they're transported to a pocket universe.
Well, as soon as Katie performs it, because Alice is performing it to the...
Right, yeah. Alice is performing it to the tune of A when it's really performed to the tune of E, or was that the other way around?
She was performing it to C, which is where the major scale starts at.
Yes.
And Katie said that back in the day, the scale started at A. Which is what a minor scale is. And so she played it in A, and that went through. But then there was E also plays a part.
Yes, that's right. So they get transported to a pocket universe, which looks like break bills, except there's a at first they don't even realize like they went everywhere. At first it just looks like all these people appeared around them, right? And so they see Josh. Josh comes down with the first musical number of the episode, right? He's introduced. And they quickly come to realize, like, there's magic now. Like, they can do magic tricks.
But it's all, like, party favors, yeah.
Yeah, they find out later that they can only do party favors. And they find out, like, and all the party goers, like, get weirdly psychotic and aggressive if you do anything to spoil the party mood. Right? So immediately, and Todd's there, too, and Todd seems to be, like, leading things. Immediately, so they realize immediately, like, stuff is off about this, like, big time, right?
And Josh has been enjoying it too much to notice it.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, they come up with a plan to isolate Josh from the party and get some answers out of him, especially on how to escape their predicament, right? But they can't just take Josh and leave into another room without the entire party wanting to kill them. So Katie has to provide a distraction. And what a distraction. Woo. Oh my God. I need a shower after that.
Very like cabaret.
Yeah, very cabaret.
physical moment that she does.
Like,
Including, it was really funny. She went behind a screen and it was going like almost as like striptease levels, but behind a screen. And then she just like walked away and had like her shadow still dancing.
Right.
Join them trying to figure out
that's
Josh.
How she managed to slip away, right? She created a spell to make it look like she was still there doing it.
Yeah, where her shadow kind of remained on the screen.
Her shadow on the screen. Yeah. So they go up. They interrogate Josh. You know, Josh basically lays it all out, right? Like he really wants to be friends with them, but like they just ignore him and take him for granted, and it's really bad. You know, Josh sent them like 1,000 texts apparently, right?
Yeah.
And basically, Josh lays out what happens. He was at the party, you know, from earlier in the season, with the party god, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he meets Todd, and Todd leads him into this pocket dimension. Only Todd actually isn't Todd. We find out Todd is actually a demon who feeds off of happiness. And so it's like a kind of demon that kind of makes you happy so that he can feed off your happiness. And that's what
not necessarily a bad deal.
Deal, yeah. Right, not necessarily a bad deal. But they also realize that this demon has the key that they're looking for, which is why the book transported them there in the first place, because that's where the key is. So quest-wise, they're actually on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
They come to find out. Meanwhile, Julia and Elliot's wife from Fillory, they're trying to help the fairy that had her leg cut off from the last episode to make fairy dust. They're trying to help her regain her magic or realize that she has magical powers, which she apparently didn't know she had. Right, and so Julia is trying to get her to realize her magic, but when Julia does manage to get this fairy to do some magic, like the fairy starts to die.
Yeah, like the choker on her neck starts like pulling into her throat.
Yes. Yeah, the choker on her neck. And Julia, her eyes flash like yellow and she freezes the fairy, you know.
Yeah, stops the fairy in time.
Yep, stops the fairy in time. Meanwhile, we have Elliot and Margot. They're being executed.
They got to choose their manner of execution.
And they chose to fall down the infinite waterfall because they figured, well, that would give them time to figure out a way out of it. Except they realized, but that also involves like being cut open by the jagged edges of the cliff, and also freezing water, and also the fact that you'll drown to death before you reach the end. So it's not, it's infinite, but it's actually not.
You're not.
It's infinite, but you're not. Yeah, exactly. So they actually realize they'll die actually pretty quickly from that.
But they think they might have an out with their servant, the royal servant that's helped them out with a bunch of things. But that kind of turns on them when they realize that he's just been playing his role.
Yeah, he's just been playing his role and waiting for his moment to take to stab them in the back and take over.
And now that the Umber and Ember are dead, like the rules and magic's gone, the rules of Fillory having to have an Earthborn ruler are out the window. Yeah,
they're out the window. So he's
like, screw these Earthborn people. Let's go Fillorian.
Yeah, let's go Fillorian.
He convinces the boat to continue taking him out so they can dump them off, and turn on them completely.
Yeah. Once they get to the point of no return, though, the boat refuses to stop, even though he's commanding the boat to stop. It won't listen to him, so he escapes the boat via a life raft and just gets the heck out of there, leaving Margot and Elliot to face their fate over the waterfall. Meanwhile, Penny is in the library, and Quentin, Alice, and Katie get the key, and it turns out it's the key of unification. So what it does is it psychically links all the members of the quest. Oh, by the way, at this point they let Josh go, and he went downstairs, and he kind of freaks out, and he gets everybody beating him up. And
yeah, he commits a party foul, and everybody turns on him.
So the key of unification psychically links all the quest members, and they can all hear each other, even though they're all far away, and in some cases, like Elliot and Margot, in completely different realms.
Mm-hmm. Well, also with Penny, because he's in the underworld.
He's in the underworld, so
which is important because nobody knows where Penny is.
That's true. Nobody knows where Penny is.
He got betrayed at the end of the last episode, and now this is like he's able to tell them where he is.
Yeah, he's able to tell. That's true. He's able to tell them where he is. So regardless of where anybody is, they're linked. And they also realize through the key that Josh is linked to them too. So that means Josh is a party member on the quest.
Mm-hmm.
So they quickly realize that they have to save him too in order to complete the quest. And then that's when Quentin comes up with the idea for everybody at once to sing Under Pressure.
Because that was what Josh had relayed a story in which his brother had basically gotten him tickets to go see David Bowie in what would end up being one of his last concerts.
Right, exactly.
And then, he's like, I heard it was so amazing. David Bowie even went into the crowd and sang Under Pressure, but I didn't get to see it because my brother ended up ditching me and taking a girl instead.
Yeah, and taking a girl instead, exactly.
So that kind of ties it around to Under Pressure. This comes up to Elliot not just because they need to save Josh and because of Josh's story, but because the point of this quest, of this part of the quest, was specifically about them saving a lost quester, like rescuing a lost quester. So he realized that this quest is all about Josh, or this leg of the quest is all about Josh.
Right.
And so in order to do it right, it has to be something that fits with Josh. So they say now that we're all linked, we're gonna sing this song, and it's gonna like stop the people in the party from going crazy on it, because it's like a celebratory thing to do, and it gets everybody involved and it unifies everybody because they're all going to be singing it together.
Right, exactly.
So they do a performance of it. It's an okay performance of the song on its own. It's a great moment in the show, the way everybody kind of comes together on it, especially like Penny finally coming in.
Oh yeah.
Because like Katie's like, Penny, come on, like you have to join in too. And it's so like against Penny. Penny's like natural.
His natural
state to do that.
It's such a great moment of the season. It's definitely one of the best moments of the season, I think.
It resonates. It's like a really powerful moment. It justifies them doing a musical episode.
It does.
So, they always, whenever a show does a musical episode, they have to find some way to make that make sense. In Buffy, it was like a demon controlling them, making them do everything in song. In Xena, it was like the underworld, and it was like how part of that was expressed. And here in this show, the musical comes about because of them being stuck in this pocket dimension and having to kind of like keep the life of the party going, Yeah. And that's kind of how the musical aspect of this episode fits in.
Right.
And they're able to fit in all the people from different areas into the musical episode is with this final song that has like an emotional resonance and brings everybody together and resolves some tensions that have been going on through the season. So it really does feel like this kind of jubilant moment, that kind of brings them all together, like cements them together.
Yeah.
So yeah, great episode. I love the little joke they put at the end with once everybody's back, Julia just kind of like walks into the room and she's like, "Oh, hey, Josh, you haven't gotten back to my text."
Yeah. Because she was the only one who texted Josh, apparently, out of all of them. He said,
Yeah, I just think that's funny because the whole time he's complaining that he's been texting them and nobody's returning his text, and then he's been ignoring Julia.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny.
Which kind of like suggests that like he only cares for people giving him attention, but he doesn't care to give it back.
Yeah, he's flawed just like the rest of them.
He's flawed.
He was putting himself up on a high horse, and he didn't really belong there.
He didn't really belong there. Yeah, exactly.
So kind of like where this leaves us now is that what's unresolved. I mean, they got a key. The book opens up the 6th chapter it's the final key, right? They have all the rest.
Yeah.
And so now they're like about to start looking for the 6th key. And at the same time, you have this kind of subplot going going on with the fairies, where you have these enslaved fairies.
Yeah.
And how they want to kind of rescue them, despite the fact that fairies are a very different kind of force in Fillory, you know, not exactly hospitable to their means. But that's kind of like where the story is going at this point in the episode, with 3 episodes left in the season.
Yeah.
So we kind of have an idea of like where it's moving along. Of course, this is the Magicians, so they can like change things up and go this, like, they can subvert your expectations and go in a very different direction, as they've done quite a few times in the series already. But we kind of have an idea of like where this season is headed towards. I still go back to, I like it I think it was in the first or second episode of the season when Elliot was talking to the Peacock Man, and he said, "How long is this quest going to take?" And he said, "About a season." So I like this kind of self-contained season, and the way that it's really felt like focused in on this quest for the keys, you know?
Yeah, me too.
Made it really fun. Because magicians can be heavy sometimes, so it's nice they have this kind of quest going along that they make progress on. It gives you something to kind of like stay attached to moving forward, besides like just the character.
For sure, yeah.
But that's it for the Magicians. We're going to be talking about it again next week alongside Jessica Jones. But until then, here's what is coming up in the week ahead. So today, as we're recording this podcast, Love came out on Netflix. That's season 3. Sneaky Pete returned on Amazon, and Collateral returned on Netflix. Then this Sunday, March 11th, Deception returns on ABC. Timeless returns to NBC. This is interesting because if you remember, Timeless was one of like that one season where like every channel had like a time travel show, and they all got canceled.
Canceled and then uncanceled itself.
Yeah. So Timeless was canceled, and then the showrunners traveled back in time and uncanceled it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the only one to survive of all of those time travel shows.
Yeah,
and it had been canceled along with the rest and then came back. So that's just kind of a cool little story for the series.
Yeah.
And the Royals returns on E, same date on March 11th. Then Monday, March 12th, Mary Kills People is back on Lifetime. Tuesday, March 13th, Rise on NBC, and For the People on ABC. And on Friday, March 16th, Edha on Netflix, On My Block on Netflix, which is another kind of coming of age teen story, similar to like Everything Sucks, except it's not in the 90s. There isn't like obnoxious nostalgia plays. It takes place in Los Angeles. And Wild Wild Country, which is a documentary series, comes to Netflix. It's about a cult that bought up a bunch of property in Oregon and then got into conflicts with their neighbors.
Sure.
So that's what's coming up in the week ahead. Next week, we're going to be talking about The Magicians and Jessica Jones Season 2. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can reach Will. He is at Voxel Hero. Check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as our site, TVEnthusiast.com. You can subscribe to this podcast through any major podcast client like iTunes or Pocket Cast. And the entire backlog of our podcast is available on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. So thank you, everybody, for listening. TV Enthusiast tuning out.
Good night.
If you would like to voice your opinion, send an email to theweeklyset@TVEnthusiast.com. TV Enthusiast is a part of the Enthusiast Media Network. Stay tuned to TV Enthusiast and the Weekly Set podcast for more coverage of all